This is a 2000 Toyota Celica. We towed it here from a friend who wanted me to work on it. It won't start. I have the battery on the charger because the battery was flat. Let me put this on starter mode and I'll show you what happens when you try to start it. So this car has 242,363 miles. That's not too bad, but it just makes a click and a vibrating noise. So I'm gonna try to figure out what that means. I'm pretty sure it's the starter. I'm gonna come over here and do a few things to test and see if the starter, right there, if that is what's causing this not to start. So stay tuned. Okay, turn it on. Okay, stop. Start. Off. On. Off. On. Off. It's a bad starter. I diagnosed it as a bad starter because I could hear the starter was trying to engage. I could feel that the starter was trying, but it wasn't able to turn the engine. On. Off. I whacked on the starter so that if it had bad brushes, that would kick it into starting the vehicle. Okay. This thing is going to get a new starter. Here's under the car. There's the starter. We need to remove this bolt, which holds on a cable to the starter, and this bolt, which is one of the bolts that holds the starter on to the engine. That was loose. I wonder if that's been the whole problem. I decided to try a bit of starting fluid to help me diagnose what exactly is going wrong here, and to see if I could get it to run. I got it to run. It was very hard to keep running. It was blowing smoke like crazy. Channel. So I found another loose bolt. This bolt was holding on a ground for the ignition, which makes sense that it wouldn't be working right if that was loose. So I tightened that down and... Okay, start it. So I looked around I didn't find any other loose bolts anywhere. So we were stuck on the side of the road waiting for somebody to come help us, and I found another loose bolt. There's kind of some wiring here that doesn't seem to be in the right place. But it's not, there's nothing else that seems to be loose. So, since it's blowing smoke, I'm going to start with a compression test and see what kind of results I get with that. So from the compression test, I got results of around 185 with the first compression test, and one of them was 175. And after putting a bit of oil in each of the cylinders, 2 of them went up to 225, and the other 2 stayed at where they were. One was at 175, one was at 185. Compression is 187. So after the compression test, among other problems, I diagnosed this with bad piston rings. So we were going to just drive it back to her house. She wanted to just have the car and get rid of it. So we were going to drive it over there, and as we were driving along, the car died. So we pulled over as best we could, and we were able to start it again. We were driving along. It was hard to keep it running, and we were driving along, and it died again. We had to start it a battery inside the car, an extra battery that we had lying around with jumper cables, and that battery got too low to start the car again. So we were stuck on the side of the road waiting for somebody to come help us, and I found another loose bolt. It was an ignition bolt for the for the coil plugs. It was a grounding bolt, and it was loose. I also noticed some bolts that were missing, but they were holding on like wire brackets, not any grounding cables. So somebody came, they had some tools, I tightened up that bolt, and it ran a bit better. It was still not running great, but we were able to get it to their house, and that's that. Thanks for watching.